What's good, everyone? Welcome back to My First Kicks. This is episode 132, and this week we welcome Michael Sykes to the podcast. Now, if you are familiar with him, he does a sneaker newsletter that you should all sign up for. He talks about it this week's episode. I will also put that in the description of this podcast. But it's really cool. You get a lot more inside knowledge of sneakers, and it's just really cool. Like I've had people on here who just post on social media, get a big following. I've had, creators of shoes on here. And now this will be the first sneaker newsletter or sneaker newsletter writer that I'm having on here, which is really cool. I think that we get to learn a lot about him. We get to learn about his passion for sneakers, and we get to learn about the newsletter and what it means, especially going forward, especially with the way that sneakers are moving now. Like there's so many ups and downs, and people are panicking, and it's a good time to start collecting. Is what a lot of me like my group chat with me, Morgan, and Flex. Like we're all just like, oh yeah. Just you can actually like walk in the stores and cop kicks. Like it's crazy. I mean, recently I just picked up the Jan Sports, and I walked in and they were just sitting my size, and I was like, "Damn, this is crazy. Let me get these." I wasn't lucky with the Infinities because they just dropped. I went to the Adidas store. They did not have a size 13, but man, them things in hand. I don't know if you've seen the Adidas Affinities in your hand. They big. They don't look they don't look big in the pictures, but man, these things are huge. So just be be wary of that. Definitely do a wear test in the store before you cop these, because the bulkiness of them just threw me off, and I still was like, I still want them, but they're you can see the Kobe toasters influence in them. But you know, let's just go on to where you can find Mike. You can find him on all social medias at Mike Sykes. Uh, Link to his newsletter will be in the description of this podcast, and check out everything that he's putting out. Check out his Twitter. Follow him on Twitter. He's very dope follow. And you know where to find me. I am Who Is Haas on all social medias. Follow the podcast at My First Kicks Pod, and follow the podcast on YouTube and TikTok at My First Kicks. Please hit that subscribe and like button on all the videos that I have on YouTube. It will help me out greatly as I try to get monetized on there. You know it is. You know it's hard out here in these YouTube streets. So help your boy out. And on to this week's guest, Michael Sykes. But before we jump into this episode, I want to talk to you about Drops and Collect by Soul Savvy. With Drops and Collect, you are able to stay ahead of the game. Using Drops, you can enter raffles and set alerts for any restocks. Well, I can't stop it anyway. Whatever. Before we jump into the episode, I want to talk to you about Drops and Collect by Soul Savvy. With Drops and Collect, you'll be able to stay ahead of the game. Using Drops, you can enter raffles and set alarms for any restocks. It would also help you to never miss a release ever again. I mean, my notifications on, and every morning my notifications go crazy. It's right before 10 o'clock. And after you cop some fresh kicks, use Collect to manage your collection. I'm still in the process of adding my kicks. I mean, I have a ton, but it's fine. But what's cool about Collect is that you can also make trades with no fees if you're a current member. But don't worry, if you aren't a member, you just have to pay a flat rate of $8. Now, how do you get these apps? Just use the links in the description of this podcast. Download these apps and grow your collection by also helping the podcast. That's right. Just use the links in the description and start expanding your collection today. Hey, Mike, welcome to the podcast.
What's good? Thanks for having me.
Nah, man. Thank you for responding to my message, because yeah, because it's funny because like I recently had Daryl Glover on,
Yes,
Brother
sir.
D,
Yes,
and
sir, brother D.
this is like you're part of the sneaker Twitter. I try to like immerse, like not to like super immerse myself in, but like I'm in there a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let me just like I hit Daryl up and I was like, let me hit Mike up, and, and that was then I was just like, holy snap, I got a response.
Yo, it's so crazy that you say this because when you hit me,
Mhm.
um, I saw that I seen you had followed me, and then I saw the DM, and then it was the DM from like a year ago. And
Yeah.
you were like, yo, I hit you, and I was like, oh my god, I feel terrible because like I definitely don't like I hate when people do that.
Mhm.
Like I'm definitely not the guy who's like, oh, I didn't see your DM. Like, no, I legit didn't see I didn't see the DM, so I felt terrible, and I'm really just glad to be on because I definitely wasn't trying to like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm not even like,
You ain't
I'm not
trying to big
even
time me.
exactly like I'm not even popping enough to do that. Like, that's definitely not my vibe. So
Nah,
no,
it's all good because like I mean, a year ago I didn't have like I was just like scratching and clawing for guests at one point, and so like I was just doing mass like hitting a ton of people up, and I like hit
yeah,
like a roadblock at one point, and I was just like I was kind of like giving up on hitting people up. And it was like this weird moment, and then for some reason it like after I had that like moment of just being like, man, I'm gonna stop like really trying hard for guests. It just all picked up. People
yeah,
started hitting me up. I was just like, I guess that's how it has to be. But yeah,
yeah,
I hit you up because like I was early trying to get the podcast up on Twitter to get a little bit more people like in the know on there, because sneaker Twitter is, I mean, I've said it on here 1,000 times, it's cutthroat. Like
oh for sure,
it, it's like if there's like clicks, there's groups, there's like you can't talk about this, you can't talk about this, and I'm just like, listen, yeah, like
just out here trying to do the
Drewski
pod.
hands. I'm Drewski hands on there, man. I'm
I feel
Drewski
that.
hands on
I
there
feel
all
that.
day, man.
I am the same way. I am the same way, yo. It's like I like sneaker Twitter. I love the community. I like
Mhm.
diving in, but I can't be in all of that. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I physically cannot.
But for people who aren't familiar with you, how about you introduce yourself?
I am Mike Sykes, the author and creator of the Kicks You Wear newsletter, a newsletter that I write about sneakers, sneaker culture, sneaker business, everything that you want to know about sneakers. You can subscribe at kyw.substack.com. I also work for USA Today, where I host a sneaker unboxing show called Special Delivery, and we unbox kicks, which is really fun. Never thought that I would be paid money to do
I
that, but
mean,
it's pretty cool. It's
I'm
pretty
trying to
cool.
be like you, man. I'm trying to be like you. So
uh,
slap me into USA Today real quick, man. I'll open
listen,
some
man.
boxes.
Listen, it's some stuff we use that, man. I love it over there, but it like any job, it comes with its pros and cons.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's really dope that you started a newsletter. It's like a unique way of just like I didn't think, because I only follow one other person on newsletters on Substack, and it was like a new thing to me. And like seeing that you had one, it was like, oh, you're gonna be the first guest on my podcast that has a newsletter.
Look at me, dork with the newsletter. Nah, it's cool though. So I used to work at Axios, and like if anybody reads Axios or has ever heard of them, like newsletters are like their main thing or whatever.
Hmm.
So I worked on the sports newsletter for a while. Like sports is my main thing. Like that's the thing that I've been doing for forever. Like it's what I
Hmm.
started my career on, and like I fused it with sneakers to find this little niche that I found. But yeah, so I worked at Axios, decided to kind of do my own thing and try this newsletter business for myself, and it's been pretty fun. Like I thought I'd never thought that there was like an audience that wanted to read about
Hmm.
sneakers in that way, but like it's definitely there. It's definitely there, and like you, I've found a home on sneaker Twitter, which has been pretty interesting.
Well,
It,
I
it
mean,
definitely
you found a home. I don't know about like you, like me. No, I'm there. I'm there floating. I'm
come
there in
on
the
now.
ether, just like. He's just like just floating around, being like, "Oh, that's cool," and then I just slide back out.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah, but you're here to answer the guest that I answer the question that I ask every guest each week, and that is, what's your first kicks? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?
The first pair that I absolutely needed to have was the 2007 pair of Aqua Jordan 8s, and like this was the sneaker that like this was the first pair that I bought with my own money, and I don't say that with like a sense of like pride. It's more of like desperation because it was like, yo, I went to my parents and it was like, yo, can I get these J's? And they was like, what's wrong with you? Like, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, like we get you shoes at the beginning of every school year, and I'm like, okay, like that's cool, but like they're like team Jordans though. Like it's not like it's not the J's that I won. It's not the
Jordan
just
adjacent.
yeah, exactly. It's like the not the popular kids don't got these. They got the ones that I'm trying to get or whatever.
Mhm,
So my mom was like, look, you can get them, but you're gonna have to work for that, and it's not gonna like I'm not gonna pay you for them. Like you gonna have to get outside, go mow some lawns, go to the neighbors' cribs, do
mhm,
some work over there, like figure it out. So I spent that whole summer just preparing for that launch, and this was like back in the day when like we didn't really have like the solid release schedule, but I knew like the shoe was coming
mhm,
around like that back to school time. So as long
mhm,
as I had my bread straight around that time, I knew I could get them. So I was outside getting it, just on that lawnmower. It was crazy. It was crazy times that summer. Like I had no fun, but I did get my shoes though, and that was that was the first pair of kicks that like I said, I bought that with my own money, and that
mhm,
was really when I got my taste of like what sneaker culture really was. I think I
mhm,
was 15 at the time, something like that,
mhm.
and it was like yo, like the getting that head nod for the first time, seeing the shorties be like, yo, you got those? Oh, that's tight. That's tight. All right, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like
Yeah,
okay, like now I'm cool and everything. Now I'm in with the in crowd and everything. So that was a shoe that really just kind of unlocked this whole journey for me. And now it's going kind of crazy. I gotta clear some space out. Like I'm working on purging right now, but it all
yeah.
started with those eights though.
Yeah, for the listeners, I'm gonna give a little synopsis of the shoe. So, bringing back an original colorway of the Air Jordan 8, this anticipated retro came out in 2007 and brings back the 1993 true to form. Both releases, oh, that was a comma. I just breezed through the comma. Both releases shared a black, green, and blue colorway with premium nubuck and the Chanel Jumpman logo on the tongue.
It's
This
the best
version
part.
delves deeply into 1990s design, into the 1990s design, with a thin Air Jordan strap across the ankle, textured overlays, and 90s graphics on the outsole. Is that considered 90s graphics?
Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah. Like the shoe came in the '90s, so like I
Yeah.
don't know. Like it
I thought I thought it was just like that little like mural on the back, or it was just like I thought it was just like the part of the swishy pants, the breakaway pants all basketball players used to wear.
yeah,
Like I
I
thought
can
it
see
was
that.
like
I
yeah,
can see
yeah.
that. Yeah, I
I
can
thought
see
that was
that.
like a design or something like that.
I can see that. The shoe is definitely a timeless one for me though. Like I
Mhm,
just feel like no matter what decade you're in, what era you're in, like we talking about a shoe that I bought in '07 that came out in '93. Like that's literally then it came out again in 2015. So
right.
every decade, like this shoe has existed and it's gone crazy. Like now you got the playoff eights that are coming back out this year. Like that's
Mhm.
that's just a amazing silhouette.
The like so I mean you talked about breaking out the lawnmower. What was it like going through it? Like was the neighbors
Oh
like
man.
cool with it? Like what was that
Oh,
like?
they were
Because you're
definitely cool with it.
15.
I'm cutting their
Yeah.
grass. Like all they gotta do is tell me like how high you want it, how low. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna like get your lawn the ball cut or anything like that. Like it ain't gonna be nothing crazy. Like I was definitely nervous though. I was definitely nervous doing it because I ain't had no job at that point. Like this was the first time where I'm like interacting with people on my own. Which
Mhm.
was like a real jump for me at that time.
Mhm.
But it was a good experience though, I will say. Like it definitely teaches you the value of like, and this is corny, this is super corny, but like the value of like going out and working for something that you really
Mm-hmm.
want. Like that was a real lesson that like allowed me to not take the things that I have now for granted,
Mm-hmm.
which is super interesting when it comes to sneakers, because I feel like we all got pairs that we cop and don't necessarily wear, and
Yeah.
somebody else might love that pair a little bit more than you, but like it's like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, every single pair, it costs you something, and like that's the lesson that I really took from that. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people really think about. I mean, I think because it's overshadowed about getting the shoe, like once you finally get the shoe. But like, if you a lot all the times that you stand online, like if you like, and then you think about, is that worth the shoe that you just bought?
right,
Like, like it, like, and I think now because now it's a lot more just you just waiting, like you waking up in bed with your phone in your hand, and
right.
now
It's
like
easier now.
yeah, it's way
It's
easier.
way
But if
easier.
you were like, I gotta get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go get this shoe, like you're gonna think about like, do I really want this shoe or not?
Right, right, exactly. You really you gotta want it. You gotta want it.
Hmm.
And jobless Mike at that time, like, yeah, it was like, nah, I need this. Like, I need this. Like that was one of them joints that I was just like, yeah, if I don't get nothing else this year, I'm gonna get this pair of sneakers. And that was
Hmm.
really the first pair of sneakers that I felt that way about. Like that's why I keep a pair on me. Like I got the 2015 pair now still. Um,
Hmm.
and on the shoe rack right now. And when those die, because they will eventually die,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get another pair, because I just always want to have that shoe to remind me that like that's where it all started.
that's pure. That's pure as hell. That's that is like that is cocaine white, like like sneaker love right there, man. That is
Is it,
crazy.
man?
Because
That's what it is.
I wish I had. So my first pair, well, the first pair of Jordans, like I've always loved Jordans, but my first pair were a pair of 15s, right?
Yeah.
And them joints is ugly as sin, but but just that moment of like, oh, I got up. These were my first Jordans. Like I
Right.
can't replace that. You can't replace that.
Yeah.
You know?
There's nothing like
Yeah.
it. There's nothing like it. Like when you get your first pair of J's, man, it's like it's like you're officially in this group now. It's
Hmm.
like you are now a part of you can sit at the cool kids table, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you
And
talked about you like touched on it a little bit about like you getting welcomed into sneaker culture, but like what like how I definitely need to understand how elite or like how it was in Baltimore or like in Maryland. My bad. I didn't place you in
I was about
Baltimore.
to
My
say
bad.
Baltimore is a totally different place.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, no
My
disrespect
bad.
to Baltimore. Baltimore, like y'all know I love you, but Baltimore
Mhm.
is totally different. People from Baltimore will tell you that too. Like I'm closer to DC.
Yeah, yeah.
I came up in PG County, so
Hmm.
it's like the DC is probably like 30 minutes from me right now,
Hmm.
which is like Baltimore is like an hour and a half. So like that
Yeah.
just tells you the distance or whatever. But um,
I mean, yeah,
as far
DMV area. My
Yeah, the
bad.
DMV, like sneaker culture is big here, and I think honestly, we probably don't get enough credit for it, which like everybody says that, but like when you think about DC and sneakers, like think about New Balance, Foam Posits, Nike
Hmm.
boots, even though like Jim Jones would tell you that like they started that up in Harlem. Um, I feel like, we didn't set every trend, but we set a lot of trends, and
Hmm.
I think for me coming up, like there was definitely a standard that I had to uphold
Hmm.
in a sense, like, which is like, it's kind of corny when you think about it. Like as a kid thinking about that kind of thing, it's like, you just kind of should probably wear what you want to wear. But like, nah, if you came incorrectly to the lunch table, or you was getting roasted. Like it definitely wasn't sweet out here, and that was the thing.
Hmm.
Like you tried to avoid that at all costs. So once I got those 15s, I was, or not the 15s, but the eights, I was
Yeah.
Teflon. But
I mean, if you had the
before
15s, I'm pretty sure you would have got roasted.
that,
Like
I don't
me.
even. I'm trying to figure like who was wearing 15. I mean, mad people were wearing 15s back when they dropped, but like I feel like every Jordan after the 14, it has like there's like I feel like the 15s are honestly underrated. I honestly don't think that they're ugly, personally.
Hmm.
Like I like
I mean, I
15s.
I don't like them at all, man.
You
So
don't like them?
nah.
I like 15s. I like I like the 17s. 16s I could go without. I had 18s, 19s.
Mhm.
But the 20s was cool. I just feel like that post retirement Jordan era, and maybe this because I'm a Wizards fan. Like I gotta rock with Wizards Mike and some of the stuff that he was wearing. But uh, I think that stuff is kind of underrated, honestly.
Nah, I mean, I think that like Jordan Brand after the 14s was looking for performance. So a lot of the shoes were just straight performance shoes, right? Like and I mean, if you look at the whole line in general, it is supposed to be a like a performance shoe. They're using their best
Yeah,
tech on Jordan. Nike was using their best tech on Jordan. So like obviously the designers would be like, okay, how do we effectively make this shoe work and look like whatever Michael is desiring at that time? And I think after 14, because of his retirement, his design was more cloaked in stuff that like regular everyday stuff instead of like, all right, let's hoop in these, like he's like,
yeah,
nah, I'm trying to sit on a woven couch or whatever his inspiration for the 15s were.
right, right, yeah. I, that's definitely true. I also feel like there's an element of just like Michael Jordan just being cool as hell. Like
Hmm.
for people back then, like it was just like I try to think about it like this. Like if say like I don't know, if LeBron dropped the Jordan 13 right now, like how
Hmm.
would people feel about it? Like I ask myself that all the time cuz like people like the LeBron 20s now, but I would say that it's probably been before the 20s, at least been like a good 5 years since I seen like a consensus about a LeBron shoe being good. And like people barely like the 15, I would say. But it
Hmm.
was just like a matter of like Jordan, not to say that LeBron is not cool. Like LeBron's dope, but I think like unanimously at that time Michael Jordan was considered cool in a way that I just don't really feel like you can be anymore
Hmm.
because of this social media era that we live in where like everything has to be polarizing and edgy or whatever. Like
Yeah.
everybody's out here to have a take. So like yeah,
Hmm.
like LeBron could do something super dope, but then somebody will come along and say it's trash, and then people will follow that. So I feel like if maybe if LeBron was in a different time, then maybe he would sell the 13 just fine. But like I also feel like looking back in the 90s, like yeah, whatever Mike was going to do, he could drop. I don't know the what is the Kobe 2, the one that looked like a
Hmm.
spaceship. If he
Yeah,
was
yeah, the
wearing that,
toasters.
yeah, if he was wearing those and they looked the same but had a Jordan logo instead of three stripes on it, I feel like people would have loved him.
True. I think there's like a certain like elite status that you get with wearing a Jordan, like like a numbered Jordan, and or I mean, in my high school, people were quizzing each other on the numbers and like what they look like, and I was just like, all right, man, like I like sneakers, but y'all gotta
Come
take
on,
it easy,
come on now,
like we try to pass this class. We got Regents next week. You over here?
right,
What's the threes? What the threes look like? What was
bro?
name,
I want
name
I
four
want
colorways
stadium
in
for that
threes?
last night. I'm sorry, like I had pre-calc the next morning. I'm sorry.
Oh man, I mean, what's it like being like? Were you like? Did you ever do like lineups for in Maryland? Did you ever do lineups? What was it like out there
Yeah,
trying to
so
collect kick
so
sneakers?
so so being outside, it was kind of crazy. Like I wasn't allowed to go outside and stand in lines all the time because my
Hmm.
parents were like, terrified of one, like me getting into something in the line,
Hmm.
and two, like after I purchased the shoe, like what if I got robbed? Like they were like really on it, especially with like the J's. So it was very rare. Like I remember lining up for God, which foams? There was a pair of foams that came out in 2012, and I went to Annapolis Mall for them, and I stood
Hmm.
in line. I didn't like camp out overnight or anything like that. I just went like the day of. Didn't get the
Yeah.
shoe, like they sold out of my size because obviously people were out there camping out or whatever. But like that, it was
Hmm.
kind of vibey though. Honestly, like I'm not gonna lie. I think that we probably be in a better place as a sneaker community if we lined up outside a little bit more, because
Hmm.
there would be more people going outside connecting with each other, as opposed to everybody being sort of disconnected in this way, and just waking up at 9:50 a.m. Eastern time to grab a pair of shoes. Like it's like, that camaraderie that you would have when you were standing in line with somebody, and
Hmm.
it's like, yo, what size are you? What size are you? Okay, I think I don't see too many 11 and a halves in front of me. I don't think, like,
Hmm.
I should be fine if I'm in this spot. Like I think I'm up close enough, and then just having, your heart broken when you get up to the front of the line or whatever. Like maybe you get them, maybe you don't, but
I
like
mean, me
it
as a
does.
size 13, I felt that. I felt
Oh
that in my
man.
core.
Oh man. Yeah, like they ain't had too much for you. Like they ain't
Never
had
had
too much for you.
anything for me, anything. Well, and then and that was a shoe that people would like resellers would or people would try to trade for. So it was like it was a shoe that like it came with like, okay, if you buy a 13, it'll be easier to get like 11, or it'd be easier to get a
Right.
10. You could do a swap because people be like, oh yeah, they didn't get a 13, but now you just got to pay shipping and you get a swap. I'm like, but what about me, man? I'm the 13
Right.
on the line.
Right. Come on. I'm right here. I'm standing right here. Like
I mean,
yeah,
they
that's
gotta. I wish they did like once you walk in, they measure your foot and they be like, that's the only size you can get. Like
oh,
they
that would
break
be
out
so sick.
the silver thing and you gotta step on
Yeah,
it and
you
be like,
gotta
all
you
right,
gotta step on it. And then they confirm. Cause like that would make stuff so much
yeah.
easier. Like nobody's gonna take that extra step except for those skate shops that be wilding a little bit. Like they might
Hmm.
they might do something like that. They might do something a little bit worse. Like you gotta do a kickflip to get these SBs. Like
Yeah,
you gotta
I
you
mean,
gotta do something like that.
trust
But
me, I was trying to learn how to do a kickflip just in case I was asked.
yo, I cannot do no kickflips, dog. Like no, there's no way. So I'm a SBs were big here too, like they were everywhere
Hmm.
else, and in the mid 2000s, and so like in high school, like that was the like if you could get pairs of SBs, like you were that dude, and like I remember being so pressed to get them and just never being able to find them. But
Hmm.
I did cop a couple pairs. Like I had the Destroyer Dunks. I
Hmm.
got the Skater Dives from this skate shop that used to be actually across the street from my high school, which was very convenient.
That's
Um,
dope.
but it was like the culture around it was so dope, and it's like completely opposite of what Nike SB is today. I feel like in
Hmm.
some respects, where like
Oh yeah.
back then it was super niche. Now Nike SB is it's not even kind of, it's very commercial, but it's cool though.
Mm.
Like it's cool. I'm glad SBs are back. I'm glad Dunks are back. But it was just a totally different beast. That's kind of a tangent, but
No, I mean, I'm always down for SB talk. Like that's what got me into sneaker culture, like the pure form of sneaker culture.
yeah,
Like and it brought me to like the forums. I don't know if you were on the forums back in the day,
Nike
but
Talk.
like I found Nike Talk, but I was mostly on NikeSB.org a lot because I was
Okay,
just a
yeah,
huge SB. I was one of those SB do or die guys. Like it's SBs or nothing, like
yeah,
and
yeah,
and it was just like I seen like a lot of it was a lot more mixed people like into SBs. I feel like Jordans were such like the hood shoe, or like
right,
foams were like the hood shoe, and and I mean, I resonated with both sides, but it was just like I love skate culture, and so once I found Nike SB, it kind of just like melted together, and I was just like, this is where I belong. And then after a while, you get pulled out of it. So yeah.
I mean, it just became so inaccessible. I think at
Hmm.
a point, like first, like it was like okay, you get to like 2009, 2010, and like
Hmm.
SB, like the SB hype is like starting to die down, but also like you got like 6.0 now, where and like you're able to buy like regular dunks, but it's just kind of
Hmm.
not really, it's not really the same. Like at least it didn't feel like that to me. Like there wasn't that same love. And then like
Yeah.
I feel like maybe the collabs kind of got a little too dangerous because they weren't really collabs. Like they would like Nike SB was just making colorways of stuff and not checking with anybody. Like
Yeah.
yo,
I mean,
like
that was I thought that was the best part because
that was
like,
the best part. It was the best part. It was so sick. It was like
yeah.
it was just dope to see like all of this stuff just like creatively coming
Hmm.
along naturally as opposed to like I love the chunky dunkies, but like bro, it's a Ben and Jerry's collab. Like I
Right. Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's is cool, but like it just is, it's not the same. It's just not the same. I'm sorry, it's
Yeah,
not the
I like the unofficial collabs where you have the purple pigeon, or like
yeah, like
the peewees where they have homie in this insole, like that stuff.
that
When
stuff is
when
sick.
Yeah, when Nike SB was putting out colorways and people were naming them on the forums, and then that's how they're named now. Like that was sick. Like the collabs were cool. Like you'd only get a couple collabs per colorway, of the box I meant, but now it's like they literally just have a colored box for collabs now, and they're all
Right,
collabs. And
right.
then they're not really pushing new they're not pushing like the newer stuff in terms of just like single colorways, like and they're not really like, they're just kind of taking it safe on one side, and then they're like kind of spending their money more on the collabs and pushing the collabs. But I think that's Nike's, like I feel like that's what sneaker brands are now in general, in my
Right.
opinion. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And like I feel like Nike SB was, I'm so glad that you brought up the forums, especially like talking about the names, because I
Hmm.
think that that is just sneaker culture in its purest form. Like that was
Hmm.
when that was truly the golden age in terms of the consumer really having most of the influence as far as what the brand does, or how the brand moves forward. Like Nike SB wasn't cool because it was Nike SB. It was Nike SB being cool because the people made it that. Like
Hmm.
we love that stuff. We name that stuff, and the brand really rolled with it. Like they were okay with that. They weren't trying to control the narrative
Hmm.
and sell us a story. They let us create the story,
Yeah.
and that was just such an amazing time, and you really just don't see that anymore. It's honestly, I still love this stuff to death, but it's just like that's the element that I think is missing from so much of this now.
No, yeah, I mean, I think I talked about it on something. I don't know what I know I didn't talk about it here, but like the idea of brands feeding us sneaker culture, like they're like, this is what this is the story behind this shoe. Like we can't have our own story with the shoe. This is the story for the
Right.
shoe, you know? Like I mean, perfect example, and I mean, like I love Amon Manir, but like, and I like everything that James Whitner has put out with all his brands, but it's like he adds so much extra stuff, you know? Like, I mean, look, cool rollouts is cool for shoes, but when you're like telling me, oh, this is a shoe because like the pennies, it was like this is a shoe because of recess, and the shoes that you had to have
Yeah.
the extra
Yeah.
shoe that you had to have for recess. I'm like, who? First of all, not all of us had extra shoes. Our
Right.
play shoes were the same shoes that we were. The inside and out shoes were the same shoes for a long time. Like,
I ain't gonna lie to you, James Whitner. I ain't even think about it that much, bro. I didn't even think about it that much. Like I was just, when I was outside, I was just outside, bro.
Mhm.
In fact, I probably got in trouble for being outside in a certain pair of shoes. Like that's probably how it went. I definitely feel you on that though. Like with the social status Mac attacks that just came out. It's
Yeah,
like the I don't even know the like official name of them, but like the
silver
inspiration.
linings. They're called
Yeah, the
silver
silver
linings.
lining. The silver linings, yes. Like the the storytelling is interesting because like I'm like, yo, like this is cool, but like you're also like telling people like I feel like it's them trying to paint the rosiest picture possible of like
Yeah.
coming up poor and like people having to live off of food stamps, which is like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like if you
Right.
need
Yeah.
SNAP, like absolutely do that. But like it's also like
But
I
nobody
don't know.
remembers the pink the pink forms like that unless you were like in the thick of it, like
Yeah,
in
it's
the 80s and 90s, and like
like like
like they switched to cards when did they switched to EBT cards and Snap cards like in the mid 90s or something like that. Nobody
yeah, yeah.
like
I'm just like, yo, like this is and like also like when you really think about it, the people that are buying these sneakers, how many of them have even had that experience? You know, it's
yeah.
like how many people are really like connecting with this? Cause like sure, I mean maybe it's just like personal to James and like
Mhm.
people over there in the Whitaker group, but like I see a whole bunch of people that I know ain't never struggled a day in their life. Like really, really, really just like saying, "Yo, the story is so dope. Wow, this is so cool." But like, you don't even know. Like, have you even ever seen this before? Like, do you even know where this comes from? Like, and that stuff just like it's like, yo, like I really don't know how to feel about it. Sometimes it makes me feel
Mhm.
like that the Dave Chappelle thing a little bit when he left Comedy Central
Mhm.
for the Chappelle show because he I don't remember the exact skit that people always say that he just left on, but the fact that like he was like, yo, the white dude was laughing a little too hard. It's like he's laughing at me and not with me,
Not with me. Yeah.
and it's like yeah, I can kind of feel that a little bit with some of these sneakers. It's like
Mhm.
telling the story about a struggle and seeing people who have never struggled a day in their life wear these sneakers and sort of put that story on like it's a little too much. I just think it's a little too much sometimes. Like shoes are dope,
Yeah.
but like it's a little too manufactured for me.
No, yeah, I think that it's just like with collabs. I think I mean when so pandemic era, right? I mean, we were all buying up like crazy
Oh
pandemic
yeah,
era.
for
If you
sure.
had to work, if you were working from home, you had a box coming in every week. I think.
every week, every week. My fiance was ready to fight me at one point. Like yo, like where are these sneakers, bro? Like and also where are mine? Like what's going on?
But I think that's when I felt the whole oversaturation of collabs hit me. Because I was buying Sakai shoes and being like, and then like 6 months later being like, why do I have these? Like, these aren't even that great. Like I like, and I just couldn't understand it. I don't know if it was like overbuying for the sake of overbuying. I was lonely. Like I don't know. Like I mean, I'm pretty sure you the same way, or a lot of people
Yep,
that are listening to this the
yep.
same way. It was just like if you feel down, nothing beats like nothing brings you back up than being able to cop a fresh new pair of kicks, right? So
Nothing like it.
yeah,
Nothing like
and
it.
I mean, look, the, the panorama was depressing. So like, like we was in
Yes,
there, we was in the
yes.
thick of it, and I was like, I feel suckered because if I have three pairs of Sakai collabs, right? I have the regular Sakai Blazers, but it's the low cut
Mhm.
one, and then I got the cause one. That's the one I would keep out of the three, and then the undercover waffle joint. And it was like they were like Nike was pumping these collabs out every day. Like they were like, "Yo, we got these new joints coming out." Like I'm like, because collabs used to be the most rarest things. Like you'd
Right.
get like one collab a year, you know,
It used to really
and
be special.
yeah, exactly. And I also think it's like it's the only sneaker hill I die on is like grails, right? When people talk about grails, they're usually like one-time collabs. Like you're not gonna see another Haze dunk, right? That's why
Right.
that shoe goes crazy, and or like the stash collection. Like you're not gonna get it. Like when's the next time we're gonna get another stash shoe? Like and because
Right.
especially because Hesperidon did terribly. Like when we're gonna get another stash shoe? Like those are the collabs where you just like, okay, it's one designer or one artist and this idea, and then you have a shoe. Like you don't need a special box, you don't need like it just you just get to go to the store, cop them, and then now you sitting with them. But it this idea of just like, yeah, we need collabs in order to push like our models is wild, is very wild to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like the I guess the age old sneaker debate of like the halo effect that
Hmm.
people always talk about with like when you look at I mean this is really a Kanye West conversation. I feel like when you talk about the halo effect and like what Kanye did with Yeezy
Hmm.
and how that lifted the rest of Adidas, and then I feel like every other brand saw that, tried to copy it, and
Hmm.
now it's just like overdoing it to the point where it's like I don't even want to buy collab. I would much rather buy GR pairs right now,
Hmm.
like than to get collabs, because it's like a lot of them just don't really feel they just don't feel that special anymore to me. It's like, if we get one of these every single weekend, if there's a collab of some sort that is coming out, then like what is really the like everybody's gonna have this, number one, which is fine. Like
Hmm.
everybody should be able to buy the sneakers that they want or whatever. But like don't tell me that the shoe is special and there are thousands and thousands of pairs of these things running around. Like you can't
Right.
you can't sell me on exclusivity and then at the same time have something that is supposedly matching the same thing coming out the very next week. Like
Hmm.
it just doesn't really work that way. But I feel like people we fall for that trick of like it's the instant gratification of knowing that I have a pair of sneakers that are coming in. Like you said, like there's when you buy a sneaker, it feels great. Like it feels amazing no matter what sneaker
Yeah.
it is. Knowing that package is coming, and then just like that whole FOMO thing of like everybody else wants this sneaker, so I must have to want it too. Like this is going to make me the cool kid. Like I'll be
Hmm.
able to get this and I'll have it and I'll be cool. I'll be able to wear it out and somebody will see it and recognize me for it. Like it's just these brands kind of just playing on that thing, that tick for us, and like it's very weird. It's weird. Sneakers are
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna do a hard pivot. I just want, because I'm curious. Just like, did you go to school for journalism?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What made you
Journalism.
wanna? What made you want to do that?
Uh, I sports has always been my thing, man. Like sports
Yeah.
has always been my thing from I was 10 years old talking to my teacher about the 2003 NBA Finals and why I
Mhm.
thought that Jason Kidd was really better than Tim Duncan. I was completely wrong and stupid, but 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 I was having those debates, and so that was my passion for a long time. And like I learned very quickly that to play in the NBA you probably had to be like 6'5". I wasn't getting
Mhm.
nowhere close to 6'5", and I also wasn't that nice at hoop. So I was like, yo, if I want to be around this game, then I should learn how to do something else, and that something else was writing about it. And
Mhm.
so that's when like my passion for journalism started, and it was really like sports journalism in particular that really drew me in, and then it just grew into a love of being able to tell stories and help people learn about things that I ended up learning about and I was curious about. And sneakers is one of those things, and that's why now I tell stories about sneakers. I try to help people understand the way that this business works, the way that these brands think, and the way that these sneakers and the stories behind them are created. So that's kind of how I got here. It's a really weird path, but it's been pretty cool though.
Did you get to write for any teams when you were coming out?
So I didn't write for the team, but I covered the Wizards for how long was I in there? I think I was in there for like 4 years, basically from my senior year of college
Hmm.
and undergrad, which was like 2014, 2013, up until like 2018 when I started doing politics a little bit more with my
Hmm.
coverage. But from that point, it was like I was at pretty much every Wizards game. I was doing the nightly recaps. I was in the locker room trying to get quotes, interviews, and everything like that.
Hmm.
I honestly miss it a lot. I kind of want to pivot back into that direction, not necessarily like just like hard sports, but just like going to cover the games a lot more. Because like when the thing about sneakers and especially with the NBA and
Hmm.
sports in general is like the sports world is the biggest stage, I would say, for footwear, especially when it comes to performance. But not even just that. When you look at like the way that these dudes walk through the tunnels, right? If
Hmm.
you watch the WNBA All Star game over the weekend, they were all weekend they were showing you what the players were wearing, what fits they had on, the sneakers that they were wearing and everything like that. It was just like all of this stuff is just kind of intertwined together, and I would love to just like dive deep into that and tell some of those stories because that's really like I feel like at this point like that's really what my passion is.
Hmm.
Um, that can change. My stuff always changes. Like that's what you find as a journalist is like you kind of go wherever the wind takes you, but that stuff is just really cool to me.
No, yeah, I mean, listen, sneakers or fashion in sports has come such a long way. I mean, we had David Stern locking it down and being like, "Nah,
Yeah,
suits. Y'all got to wear suits now." I mean, the craziest part. I remember how like shocked I was that they were starting to let players play in non-team colorway shoes. You know,
man,
I was
that
like,
was
it felt like it
groundbreaking.
was, yeah, it felt, I was going to say that. I was like, it felt groundbreaking. Um, just the idea of being like, yo, I could wear fresh kicks. And now you see PJ Tucker with three bins and two lockers filled with sneakers. Like,
Crazy, crazy. PJ is crazy, man. The funny thing is like coming up as a Wizards fan, like I loved Gilbert Arenas, and
hmm.
and he used to hoop in whatever, bro. Like I remember he hooped in a pair of designer kicks one time, and I was just like, "What? Like this doesn't even make sense." Like I don't even feel like you're okay. Like are your ankles good, bro? Like, but he cooked in them though, and it was like
Yeah.
that was like one of those things where I was like, yeah, like this is cool, and that was one of the times where I can remember early just being like yo, like this fusion of sneakers and sports, like it's real. Like you obviously tracing it back to Michael Jordan, and even before that,
Hmm.
you look at the Mac Attack coming out now, or
Right.
being retroed again now. That's a
Hmm.
shoe from 1984. Like seeing the history and tracing it all back is just it's just so fun to me. It's just so fun. The
No, yeah.
relationship is crazy.
I love that because a lot of people don't really understand how the journey a one specific model has taken. Like even from conception to right now, it's wild when you see like I mean I always say it. 90s basketball shoes are undefeated. And like they took chances, they made stuff work, and it was like it was all performance based, so everything was pretty comfortable. Like I didn't. I mean, I'm going back because like I'm trying to like buy some old stuff because I want to. We were talking. I was on a live, an IG live, and everybody pulled out a pair of gloves, and I was feeling so left out.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, yo, this is the one shoe I've wanted really bad. Like I went to a Foot Locker. I used to be one of those kids that would walk in the Foot Locker every day just to see what's popping, like just to see what's in there. And I lived a block away from it, so I would walk in, be like, yo, what's up? And then I look at the wall. I'll hold the shoes, and then I remember when the glove came out, and then they had the display where it had the other interchangeable outsides too,
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like. I was like, I want this shoe
Sick.
so bad, man. Like, never got him, never
That's
got
sick.
him. So yeah,
That's so sick, man.
I think that like the like I mean being able to share that and let people understand would is I mean I'm not in the business of selling shoes for brands, but I'm in the business of matching stories with sneakers. I don't
Yeah,
know if that's like if that's helpful or not, but I think that it brings more meaning and it makes people more conscious buyers because if you're like, oh, I can associate this story with like, you know, a diamond turf or like, I can associate this story with, a Jordan 8. It makes you want to look at the shoe deeper and makes you want to wear it a little bit more. And I think that's like one thing that's been missing out of sneaker culture currently.
yeah, yeah, and the creativity aspect too. I will say when you look at like the performance sneakers that we get today,
Hmm.
I feel like not only do they all look the same, but they all have kind of the same technology in them too, which is part of the reason why they all look the same. It's
Hmm.
like every shoe looks kind of like a Kobe now. It's like
Yeah.
it's really weird. It's really weird to me. And I just like you talk about '90s basketball. I just think about the different variations of models that we see. Like you talk about the gloves, the Indestruct. You
Hmm.
got the Barclays, the Jordans, the pennies,
Up
like
tempos.
up tempos. There was just so much variation, so many different types of sneakers that were made for all of these different athletes, and like it's like, yo, where is that? What happened to that? And
Hmm.
why can't we go back to that? And I know like the performance aspect, like these athletes are crazy now. Like they do a lot of crazy stuff, and we got to be conscious of that. But at the same time, y'all mean to tell me like we can't get one good Air Max basketball model anymore?
Right. Yeah.
Like what happened? I don't know. I don't know. I wish that creativity would come back. I'm glad that the '90s hoop sneakers are coming back because I feel like
Hmm.
maybe that can spark something
Hmm.
somewhere. Maybe like now that all of this is coming back in our face. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Um, I I'm definitely curious. What made you want to jump on sneaker Twitter?
It was just looking for people to talk to about this stuff, right? It was
Hmm.
like I felt like at a certain point I was just like tweeting into a vacuum. Like
Hmm.
it's like I'm tweeting into the ether about these shoes that I love and nobody's really saying anything back. And so it was like a search for people who not only thought like me, but also disagree with me too on some
Hmm.
things, so that like I can have these conversations and learn more things about sneaker culture and how sneakers are made and what this process is like to make my work better at the
Hmm.
end of the day. And I feel like that has been sneaker Twitter has been really helpful in that and just giving me the insight on um, the business perspectives, the development perspectives, like just some of the people that I've run into. Like you had Daryl on the podcast, and Daryl is an amazing resource, man. Like that dude knows so much, has thousands of pairs of sneakers.
Yeah.
And like I remember, it's so funny. I remember we did an episode of Special Delivery where like my producer, he bought a pair of uh 97 silver bullets
Hmm.
from StockX like 2-3 months before they came out or something like that. And I was like, yo, like I'm very questionable about these. Like I don't know, are these legit, bro? Like we gonna have to find out. So we did a whole episode of like us just trying to find out. And I put it out on Twitter. I was like, yo, like we're trying to see if this pair is legit or whatever. And Daryl hit me. He was like, "Yo, like send me some pics." And so I sent him, and he was like, "Yeah, these are good." I was like,
Mhm.
"Yo, like that's crazy!" Like, and he broke it down to me like why they were good, what I should have been looking for, and everything. And it was just so cool. But it's just like having those resources, having those people there who genuinely love this stuff, genuinely want everybody to succeed, genuinely want the content to be good so that other people can love sneakers just like them too. Like finding those like-minded people in that way, it's exactly what I was searching for. So I'm really glad I found it. I know it can be like very messy sometimes, and like
Mhm.
things can get a little wild, but sneaker Twitter is just genuinely a great place, I think.
Have you like tried anywhere else beside like what is just Twitter's your preferred social
Twitter has
for?
always been my preferred social. I
Mhm.
am on Instagram, but I'm very like bad at Instagram. I think
Mhm.
like all I do is share pictures of sneakers that I like. I don't necessarily like take too many pictures or whatever, but like Twitter
Mhm.
is it's always been my app of choice. And also I feel like the conversations are easier to get going on there. Like it's an app that is more geared toward conversation than anyone else, I would say.
Mhm.
So that's mostly the reason why I've been on there.
Nah, yeah, that was like the most fun part of like the forums, and I always say that like people don't understand that like when it comes to liking or loving and being in sneaker culture, it's not about proving who's right or who's wrong. It's about stating your opinions and then
Yes.
finding common ground. Like I think I mean my time on TikTok has been people telling me I'm wrong, and I'm like this is my like I this is what I think. It's not about what you think of what I think. It's like I'm telling you what I think. Like you don't have to agree with me, but you also could just make it a conversation. Like that's what it's all about. Like you tell me
Right.
what you think, then we go on from it. That's how podcasts work. That's how, Twitter works and I mean TikTok, I think like sneaker TikTok, it's like a lot of people just think that they're the elite of the elite. And I'm like, I mean, there's so many people that could tell you that you're wrong on this, but I'm not gonna jump in on that. And I think that a lot of it is just hype, and so I do enjoy sneaker Twitter, just like perusing and stuff. But you say it's easy to start conversations. I say it's the hardest thing to do is to start conversation out there for me.
Why you say that?
For me, it's because I don't have like a huge following, or I don't know how like
Mhm.
I don't like I guess I don't know how Twitter works because like my friend was telling me I have a friend, a former host of the podcast, Iffy, and he has 100,000 followers on Twitter, and like he was just like, yeah, man, you just got to tweet a lot. I'm just like, what does that even mean? Like you're not even like explaining it to me. He's just like, yeah, you just got
Gotta
to
get
be,
them off.
yeah, you just got to get them off. And I'm like, so I'll do that, and like I'll get a couple here and there, but like when I want like that's the thing. Like I have like real questions I want to ask, and so nobody wants to answer any of my questions. And I think that's the hardest part. Like is getting people somebody to answer me. But I've been getting I've been working on it. I'm getting little people here and
Yeah, yeah.
there.
Twitter's definitely interesting in that way. I would say it's like you kind of especially now like it can get a little clicky sometimes, so like
Hmm.
a lot of people try to like talk to the same people all the time to like not out of like anything like malicious or anything, but like people just don't feel like arguing all the time. Like
Hmm.
generally on the internet, like there is some sort of toxicity waiting for you around the
Oh yeah.
corner on
Oh
any
yeah.
platform. So like I think people are just kind of wary of that aspect of it. But like I also just try to like me personally, I try to be open generally whenever I'm talking to anybody on Twitter. It's like if I was having a conversation with a person in real life, how would I interact with this person?
Right.
That's how I think about Twitter. That's how I come to it.
Hmm.
So it's like, yeah, like maybe I'll have a hot take that is like crazy or whatever. And if somebody thinks I'm wrong, that's fine. You can think I'm wrong. But like
Hmm.
I'll never be like disrespectful or be like, yo, what do you mean? Like you tripping. Like I'm not that's never my energy with it. And so like I
You over here asking people if they're crack babies. Like, what are you smoking? What's going on with you?
exactly. Exactly. Like, yo, it's Twitter's wild. Twitter's wild. TikTok is wild too. I will say
TikTok is very wild. I mean,
TikTok is super
see some
wild.
of my comments. I made a video about people. My listeners are probably so tired of me talking about this, but I made a video about the Air Jordan 16s and how I don't like them. And I called them tap dance shoes. And my comments were on fire for like 2 weeks. It was wild, man.
Wait, people caping for the 16s like that?
Yeah, people were caping hard for the
That's
16s.
that's kind of wild. That is, I did not expect that.
I'll
I did
send you
not.
the video. I'll send you the video so you can
Please
see it.
do, please do. I
Uh,
remember I
mhm.
did a TikTok video uh not too long ago. Well, actually, this was a while ago. This might have been like a year ago. I just go into like the outlets or whatever and just film
Mhm.
shoes and be like, "Yo, can't believe these are here." And there was a pair of South Beach LeBrons, and I posted them, and people were like, "Yo, those are yours! Like you brought them from your house and just put
Oh
them on the
yeah.
shelf." I was like, "Why would I do that? Like, why would I do that, yo? Like, are y'all serious? Like, for real? Like, y'all dead serious right now? Like, okay, all right, TikTok.
It's wild because people do that. Like they'll go to Ross and do that, or
Oh,
like
that's
they'll go
sick.
to, and so just for the likes. Like it's that's how social media is now, man. Like
That's
everybody's
nah,
doing it just for the likes. But
that's sick, bro.
Mike, we are winding down towards the end of the episode. I have one last question for you. I want you to think back to young little Mike, just grinding hard for these Aqua Eights, right? And he just bought them, and now he's about to open that box. Now you're 2023 Mike. You go back in time. You're right behind him. He's about to open that box. What would you tell young Mike as he opens that box?
Wear them and don't regret it, bro. Don't regret it. Don't regret it. Which, like, I'm gonna give myself some credit. I did. I
Hmm.
hooped in those too.
Hmm.
It was terrible decision, but I did it though, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it. Like, it was a really good pair. I beat them. They lived a good life, and then I grew up and got another pair, so it was fine. It was okay. It was okay.
Why were you like? Was there a moment in your life where you're like, man, I shouldn't have killed these?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I thought they were never coming back. I thought they were never coming back. When I say I hooped in them, like I really hooped in them. Like
Yeah.
indoor gym, outdoor gym, on the concrete. I'm in the Aqua Eights, going crazy. Like
They
and
were
like
calling. They were calling you Aqua Eights on the court. Yo, Aqua
they were
Eights.
I wasn't that nice. Look, I wasn't that nice. Like they ain't have a nickname for me. It was like yo bro, like you run it. Like that was my nickname. But no, I they felt good. Like that was a good hoop shoe. I see why Mike was playing in them, but
Hmm.
I got them in '07 by the next summer in '08. Those joints was toe up. Like the paint's coming off the purple part. Like
Hmm.
it's like the straps are kind of beat. The laces are torn up. It's like it was bad. It was bad. And I never thought that I would get another pair. And so I felt so bad about it. But then, years later, like I said, they came back. It took
Yeah.
almost a decade, but when they came back, I was excited about it. But I still miss that pair because I feel like the 15 pair is closer to the OG, but the
Hmm.
'07 pair is my favorite pair, I would say. Because I just like how the joint was just all black. Like the 15 joints, they got a little gray on it, and I think it still looks good. But
Hmm.
the straight black is like, yeah, like no, That was tough. That was tough, and I miss that. I miss that pair to this day. And if they ever come out like that, I would get them again. But I do not regret beating them. I do not regret beating them. Sneakers are made to be worn, so wore them. So
Exactly,
wear them.
exactly.
I wore them.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, appreciate you big time for hopping on, Mike. And for everybody listening, you know what we say every week: wear your kicks. Peace.